Wu was one of the states during the Western Zhou Dynasty in the spring and autumn period. It was also known as Gao Wu or Gong Wu from the pronunciation of the local language. Wu was located at the mouth of the Yangtze River east of the state of Chu. Its first capital was at Mailai and was later moved to Gusu and then Helu City. History. The rulers of the state of Wu had the surname Ji, the same as the Zhou royal family. According to the records of the Grand Historian, this was because the rulers of Wu have descended from Taiba, the elder uncle of King Wen. Realizing that his youngest brother, Jili, was wiser than he and deserved to inherit the throne, Taiba fled to Wu and settled there with his other brother Zhongyong. They established their first capital at Mailai, believed to be today's Maikun in Wuxi. The state of Jin aided Wu's rise to power as a useful ally against the state of Chu. In 584 BC, Wu rebelled against Chu upon the advice of Hua Chen, a Jin minister who defected from Chu. Afterwards, Wu would be a constant threat to the Chu until its demise. Wu fomented rebelliousness among Chu's vassals in the Yangtze Valley. In 5006 BC, Wu launched a surprise attack and occupied the capital of Chu. Afterwards, Wu was briefly the most powerful nation and turned to other campaigns, defeating the state of Qi in 484 BC. Ironically, Wu was later threatened by an upstart state to its own south, Yu. Chu then aided Yu's rise as a counter to Wu. Although Wu won a major victory against Yu in 494 BC, it failed to completely subjugate it, in part because of Yu's timely bribing of an important Wu minister. While Wu was engaged in a military campaign in the north, Yu launched a surprise attack on Wu in 482 BC and conquered the capital. Over the next decade, Wu was unable to recover and Yu absorbed the state in 473 BC. Wu, Yu, and Chu all proclaimed themselves kings in the 6th century BC, showing the drastic weakening of the Zhou court's authority during the spring and autumn period. Wu and Yu were masters of metallurgy, fabricating excellent swords with incised messages, geometric patterns, and inlaid gold or silver. Wu and Yu swords tend to use much more tin than copper compared to those of other states. Wu often sent swords as gifts to northern states, such as Qi and Kai. Examples include the spearhead of King Fuai and the sword of Prince Guang. Kings of Wu family tree. Culture. The records of the Grand Historian states that the people in Wu wore their hair short and sported tattoos. This observation is likely meant to illustrate their supposed barbarism, as in Sima Qian's time neither men nor women were allowed to cut their hair or otherwise modify their body. Doing so was considered an offense against the ancestors from which one had inherited one's physical features. Wu rulers did not receive Chinese language posthumous names after death. Literature. As Sun Zi served under King Helu, his art of war was possibly written or edited in Wu. Legacy. Wu continues to be used as a name for the region around Suzhou and Shanghai and their regional speech, Wu Chinese. It was employed by other states and princes holding power in the region, most notably Eastern Wu of the Three Kingdoms, and Wu Yu of the Ten Kingdoms. Possible connection with ancient Japan. Ambassadorial visits to Japan by the later Chinese dynasties Wei and Jin recorded that the Wo people of Japan claimed to be descendants of Taiba of Wu, traditionally believed to be the founder of Wu. Wu in astronomy. Wu, together with Yu, is represented with the stars Eta Aquilae in asterism left wall, heavenly market enclosure.